Friends, on behalf of Sachal Music, I welcome you all to this very important celebration of music. For the past 5 years or so, I've been involved with two very fine gentlemen, Mr. Izzat Majid and Mr. Mushtaq Sufi, who together have changed the world of music from Pakistan.
Mushtaq Sufi and I set it up 6-7 years ago, and the idea was to find and create music that moves our heart and our soul. And in the process, we were fortunate enough to work with some of the great musicians of Lahore, and that is in essence what Sachal Studios is all about.
That is why we have created a team of composers, lyricists, arrangers and technicians who have been able to create this kind of music.
You worked on Desafinado last year, and you're currently working on Girl from Ipanema. Tell us how these two experience has been with Izzat Majid's concept.
First of all, I want to say that it's very courageous to try to mix musicians from other countries, different approaches to music, to your music, to Pakistani music. That's the thing, is that the challenge, because the approach is completely different, the spirit is completely different. The trouble for me is the structure. The song never ends, and every time when you sing you're going to repeat something, comes a new element. But for me it's a challenge. So I tried, when I bring the songs home to practice, to find out things, I'm trying to not to escape from your original thing, but try to bring something special. They're long songs.
It isn't it? Because in Europe and the States, you got this thing about a 3.5 minute pop song. It's like, well, that doesn't matter. No, we just do 7 minutes or whatever.
Sang.
But the arrangements themselves are really long, and you kind of playing that. Wow, it must be the last time.
No. Once and then jump there, and then don't repeat this anymore, and then jump here, and then go there and back here. But the chords don't play anymore. The harmonic stuff. The chords themselves are not that complicated, but the structure is very.
You know what I really like about it though is that it's kind of got that meditational, meditative aspect to it. And I don't get bored listening to it.
But the sequence, the structure, is something that I couldn't expect.
I've been privileged to be closely associated for last 5 years, and in this beautiful, majestic recording studio, one of the finest in the world.
It's almost a sacred place for if you want to cross the Abbey Road. I think 24 hours a day and 365 days a year, you will find people from all over the world standing there and
being photographed
and remembering the Beatles. So, but apart from that, I think I've seen a few studios in the West, in advanced studios, but the ambience here and it's just I haven't seen it anywhere else.
I think it's a great place, good staff, nice people, and excellent facility.
And it has been joy to work in Studio 3 because we have one of the finest engineers working with us Christoph Bracher, who has been a very important contributor.
Well, I have worked with ethnic music, as I would call it, for many years. But never before have I had the opportunity to work with orchestral material, which poses new challenges because orchestral music is inherently harmonic. While of course ethnic music, certainly Asian music, is inherently is modal, which means everything is based on one scale and notes that all the notes used relate to that one scale. And as soon as you introduce another body on top of that, it gets much more complicated and much more complex and much more challenging. And it has been a journey for the arrangers because they didn't really know what this concept meant to begin with. So initially I spent a lot of time trying to find a symbiosis and a balance and marry the two elements together, because the harmonic music is Western music, and that's where I come from. So it's been a very good experience because it's just been the next level up, really, from what I've been doing before.
I grew up on jazz. There was a time when all the great jazz artists went around the world to basically promote American culture, and I was privileged and lucky to have actually seen and met, and as a child, 10 years, Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis, and Ella Fitzgerald. All these great artists were part of the great ensemble, jazz ensemble that toured the world. And that's where the grounding came from. And then, so some time ago, Sufi and I decided that it is time for us to also look at the world music and see how we can interpret it in terms of our tradition.
I think he has inspired the whole project, inspired us, the musicians, and everybody around to pursue a dream. And in order to make good music, you at least need two things. One is talent and passion, and other is resources. And I think I have never seen a person like him with such a passion for music. He loves music, and secondly, he has been very generous.
And the person who has done all the graphics and the website is here with us, Prithwal Ajimal. I'd like to say special thanks to him as well.
It's been quite a challenge because when I saw the first three covers, I said to Jay that, yeah, they look very nice, but we could do much better than that. I took those on and thought, you know what, I'm going to retrain myself, I'm going to become a designer, because it's something that I can do, it's something that I feel, and it comes straight from the heart. I used to play sitar, so I was a musician as well, so I had a bit of a musical background in that particular sense. So it seemed easy to marry the whole thing together of design and music as well. The way that I look at everything is through two channels. I've got my ethnic Indian channel, and I've got my Western channel. And the way that I look at everything is through those two channels, and I come from them and bring them together in order to get something that takes the best elements from this side and also from this side. Because on this side, the Western side, it's almost really, really organised, really simple. And then from this side, you get all of the artistic bits where it's full of colour, it's a little random, and just looks really, really nice. And then when you bring everything together, you get the best of both the worlds. It was very challenging in order to get to that particular point because each artist was completely diverse, completely different, and the music was different as well, because you don't normally hear that kind of music put in that particular way. Yeah, it's been a little hard.
The misery in which we live in Pakistan has been, it's become a cultural wasteland over the last 2-3 decades. with military dictatorships, with civilian rule which is devoid of any sense of belonging to the soil they live on. And it became really impossible to breathe the music that one grew up on, and to think of working with all the great musicians of Lahore. And mind you, Lahore through the centuries has been one of the great cultural centers of the subcontinent. These cities have defined not only our music, our poetry, our sensibilities about looking at our culture. And then it was a struggle to revive the barrenness that our great musicians felt in their hearts.
Beginning, we in fact tried to record the senior artists, but with the passage of time we realized that we need to move on to the younger ones and record something which appeals to the younger generation.
There are many more projects coming. We are working on a current album of young musicians.
These are babies that you've created. These are alive sounds, and to be able to describe even one will take an hour.
So enjoy the evening. Take 5.